going back to those playoff games, what did we learn just overall from the divisional round?
The biggest takeaway for me from him, man, like, give me a running back, you know? Like, give me a running back.
Yeah.
You know, I think we, like, Louis Riddick was talking about this the other day, and I thought it was a really good point. Like, I think sometimes, and I'm going to include myself in this because, like, I talk about it a lot, and I'm not ready to throw out the whole concept of it, but I do think at times, like, people do overthink positional value just a little bit, and I do think there is a factor of it, but no one's talking about the value of the flip side of Saquon Barkley or Gibbs or, you know, guys like that. And like that just kind of seems to be where the league's going as a whole. Now, the counter to that is, you know, if there's a, you know, say Genty and a left tackle you love or available, and there's a free agent running back out there, yeah, it's probably cheaper and more viable to sign the left tackle or draft the left tackle and then sign the running back. But like all things considered, like just get playmakers and have a good team. But the league is going back so much toward the run, and that's evident everywhere. Passing numbers are seemingly down a little bit, and these guys are game changers. And like defenses are you know, they're
struggling. Yeah.
There hasn't been that correction back. Like it went to getting like rangy, smaller, you know, linebackers. The Brandon Spikeses of the world are gone. And like we're on the other side of that correction of it. And now, you know, I think the run is just more devastating to people. And if you can run the ball well, like it makes everything easier on your quarterback. Like we see all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, that was my biggest takeaway from the whole thing. My other one, and boy, I hope the Saints don't buy into this too much, but they damn near beat the two teams in the NFC title game.
It ran across my mind.
Yeah.
It ran across my mind.
3 points to Philly, and they almost beat the Commanders with two backup quarterbacks. What does that mean? I hope like nothing, kind of, because that's just what the league is, and I wouldn't put too much stock in it. But
Hey,
you know, if like someone like on the heels of someone saying like, you know, it isn't that hard to turn it around that fast, and everyone being pissed about it, like I don't know, like the Commanders turned it around fast, and the Saints almost beat them. Like I hope you don't buy into it, but it's hard to sit there and just be like, no, you're absolutely wrong. I do disagree with the sentiment, and like I don't know if it's worthwhile to chase it, but like it's not the most outlandish thought in the world. Like I'm sorry, like objectively, it just like it isn't like it isn't that far. But like everybody, the thing about the league, the trap of the NFL though, and this is the thing, this would be my counterpoint to that. The trap of the league is that I think everybody in the league can sit down and look at a handful of factors and say, we are close. Like, because nobody is really that bad. There's a couple like really bad teams, and that's why it's damn near impossible to get the top pick in the league.
Yeah.
But outside of like those teams that are actually bad enough, like there's a handful of teams that are you know 5-win teams, and they're all sitting there like it isn't that far away. We almost beat this team. We were down by 3 to them. We played them well. Like if this had happened and that had happened, like we could be there. Now look at this team's turnaround. There's always someone in like the trap of the NFL, and you know it's the greatest lie that Roger Goodell is trying to tell every fan in the league is that everyone's close and everyone's like in the mix. But in the end, like there's the handful of really good teams, and what do you do to get there? And how do you stay there? Like Commanders are there right now. Are they going to be there next year? Houston was knocking on the door last year, and they felt a little further away. They turned it around later in the year. But like that's the greatest lie of the NFL is that everybody, and that's how they keep you watching every single week, and it's designed that way, and the rules are that way, and the cap makes it that way.
The system they got works.
But how do you become? How do you get out of the middle and become one of the outliers? Because everyone in the middle is looking at it and saying, "We're close to the Eagles. We're close to the Commanders," and you just can't. I just hope that they aren't too deeply selling themselves. Anybody in the league that's in that 5-1 category right now isn't selling themselves that lie too much.
So I'm saying picks 1 through 6, they're bad. They can't really do anything about it and be in the mix. But after that, it's just like, dang, it gets a little, it gets a little in the middle. But the things that I learned is, one, the Chiefs can turn it on whenever they need to. And they did. Travis Kelce, he had a quiet season the whole season, and he turned it on when he needed to. Mahomes, he does his thing. You see it. You see it. You don't have to talk about it. 2, change is good in terms of Washington.
Quick interjection.
Hit it.
Because you just mentioned Mahomes. They absolutely give him calls that nobody else gets.
Oh, he gets a whistle, for sure.
Like
no question.
There were a few hits on quarterbacks, and I was like, oh, Mahomes.
Oh, he's getting there.
And look, I don't want to derail from
No,
let
you're
you get back
good.
to it.
You're good.
I don't blame him for
Selling it?
selling it, for drawing flags, all that. He's playing within the rules, and if you're going to slow down, go to the sideline, someone's going to hit you, and they're going to give you 15. Smart, do it. Like if that's your quarterback, you love it, and if it's not your quarterback, you hate it. Like do it. It's within the rules, whatever. The flip side of that though is I remember a play where it looked like he was giving himself up earlier this year, and then he like turns up the field and he goes, and like they have to do something about that. You can't be the person that's gonna like sell it to get a hit going out of bounds, but then also be the person that's gonna like fake it so the defender gives himself up and then take off running. Like you can't do it. Like so they got to do something about it. But like absolutely, like I remember a play from Jalen, and I remember one from Lamar, and on both of them I was like, oh, like Mahomes is getting 15 there, and like these dudes just like get up and go, and it's just like, wait a minute, like you got to call this more evenly, but they got to do something to stop that, because like some of that stuff Mahomes is doing is it's, you know, you're coloring outside the lines a little bit, even though it's within the spirit of the rules,
And it's almost dangerous.
It is.
It's almost dangerous to point. Like you remember 2-3 seasons ago in college, Kenny Pickett, he was running, he did that fake slide, got up and kept going. They had to take that out completely because you're gonna get somebody's gonna hit you, and then it's gonna be bad.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely I think that needs to get tightened up. But I think that, I mean, and that's always the thing on Twitter about, oh well, does this championship pedigree person get a specific whistle? Yeah. Even in basketball, LeBron, Giannis, KD, Steph, they have a different category of whistle that they get compared to everybody else. And even in football, Brady had it. You know, now he's not doing the things that Mahomes is doing in terms of cerebrally running out and stopping to, you know, kind of let momentum swing them back a little bit, and he knows somebody's coming forward and they can't stop themselves. What's going to happen? But yeah, it is a lot of things that need to be cleaned up a lot when it comes to kind of the officiating at quarterback, because it gets into such a gray area.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if the spirit of the rules are to protect you so you don't lose your knee like Tom Brady did, like, then you can't kind of, like, you shouldn't be like kind of like flaunting it. And like I said, I'm not mad at him. Like you're playing within the rules, you're taking advantage of it, you're getting advantages for your team. That's cool. But like, if the rules are to protect you specifically, like don't flaunt them. Like just kind of, you know. But whatever, they need to fix it then. They need to make an adjustment, because like he's not technically doing anything wrong. So
no, for sure. Going back to these points, change is good. Washington, a lot of change, new coach, new whole offensive system. They changed their name, they changed their uniform, the whole nine. And
change our owner.
That's the real big part. They look like they're about to go back to RFK. Like a lot of changes happening up there, and it's working out great for them. Like Jane Daniels arguably might be having the greatest rookie quarterback season of all time. We'll have to see how it ends up, but change is good. Whether that's uncomfortable, and I think that's a lesson the Saints kind of, not everything copy and paste, but
are him and Roethlisberger the only rookies to get to the title game? I know Roethlisberger took Pittsburgh to a title game.
They said Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez also, yeah. So, but
Mark Sanchez is in a different category than those two gentlemen.
For sure. And I was listening to something earlier, and they were saying how at some points with those other quarterbacks who made it there, they were just facilitating, like, okay.
They were calling him the Sanchez, man. That was nasty. That was the Sanchez. That's nasty, man. That is disgusting.
Sanchez is crazy. But that's New York for you, man. They're going to come up with something.
The Sanchez, man.
That's gross. For Mark Sanchez.
I mean, they were winning for a minute, though.
I understand that. They beat all of the Sanchez.
No, nasty word.
Why were you letting them get away with that? You were right there down the street.
Look. I remember when they hired the best thing Ian Rappaport ever did. They hired Rex Ryan, and Bill's doing you know how Bill is, like how Bill talks and everything, and Bill's doing it was a Tuesday conference call ahead of the Jets game, and like Ian asked him, he said, Bill, are you, because like Rex had this quote, he's like, I'm not coming up there to kiss the ring, and he asked Bill, he's like, has anyone ever asked to kiss you, right? He's like, Bill was like crying, laughing, man. But that was a great moment.
He was laughing?
Oh yeah, he broke him. He broke him. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and then like years later they showed like the flip side of it in a documentary, and like Bill was like eating a bowl of some shit, and was like, well, I don't know.
And also, like you said, invest in that running back, not just any little penny running back. A running back who would change the way that your team operates.
Yeah.
Like even with the Ravens, Derrick Henry had a slow count. He had a pass, man. When he dropped it earlier in the game, I said, all right, I know what time of day this is. I've seen this happen before. We'll get into them a little bit later. But it's like, man, you can't sell out like that. But invest in that running back. Saquon, Gibbs, Derrick Henry, those guys are power horses, and they make the offense go in a certain sense of speaking. They give you a whole nother angle where you can just open up and do so many things. And also with the Rams, even though they lost, in terms of going back to the coaching search, have someone who will prepare your team for almost anything. That team from LA was out there playing in snow and still almost won the game. So that McVay thing of having them prepared to go out there mentally, just with the play calling and all of that, in that Philly environment, that's a rough environment. I hadn't really heard the little Go Bird song until like yesterday after the game when they did it like in full, and I heard it over the broadcast, the Fly Eagles Fly, and I was like, golly, boy, this ain't no joke. So those are the things that I learned during the divisional round.